DB.
What is up?
There's a couple things that we've brought up today that I keep thinking about because, again, I feel like we know them on an intuitive level, but it hits us strangely when somebody says it out loud. When you're talking about,
Like the 18 times they referenced the running back room
yeah,
between the two coaches.
yeah. There's when,
Gosh.
like, I don't know if everybody knows this. If you've ever coached, you understand it. Sometimes games get a little away from you. That's just a thing that happens, right? There's been.
I thought it was interesting that Coach Rule brought it up like 3 different times, and twice it wasn't even running back questions.
No, and he was like, yeah, we definitely wanted to play those guys more.
Yeah.
Right. But it's Coach Holgerson's decision. He felt Emmett, EJ, whoever was in a groove. I don't remember how he said it. But so it's my coach's decision. I'm going to leave it there. Right. But he's like, but we're going to plan to play those guys.
You're not going to go Schaefer on me, are you?
Moving forward. What's that?
You're not going to go Mike Schaefer on me?
No, I'm not.
Wow.
Because I think
Schaefer was not happy with me.
What's kind of funny is I was having this conversation over text with Cole. You know Cole a little bit. I think he's messaged you. And
Coleo.
Good dude. And he was having this conversation about the running backs. He's like, I kind of agree with Schaefer. And I go, well, I think there's a couple things going on there. Number one.
Okay, I'm going to let you go. That's fine. I didn't mean to interrupt. I do think there's 2 different things going on, and we were saying the same thing. But his delivery, he was so animate.
Yeah.
Like I let it ride.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see if our 2 things are the same.
Yeah, so one of the things I think was going on is I think we think EJ has more production than he does. Because when Schaefer's talking about, hey, we need to see it in games. I get we've seen more of EJ in games than these other guys because the other guys is none, basically. Mm-hmm. We haven't seen that much of Emmett Johnson, right? It's not like we have this 2-year starter that we go, hey, he's a 1,200-yard back, and then we've got these guys that have never played before. Mm-hmm. The gap in playing time and experience isn't that big. So let's start there. I think that's one thing. So when we say, hey, got to see it on the field, I get it. We've seen more of EJ on the field. Still haven't seen that much. So I think that gap is smaller than we feel like it is, right? Because it's some versus none at all versus a lot versus some, right? Those gaps can be similar, but because one of them is none, it feels more dramatic. I think that's one thing that's happening. The other thing that's happening is I think people are assuming you have more information than the general public. When I sit here and I go, I'm basing what I believe about the running back room strictly on what I've seen in games.
That's the part, and I would tell him that's the part I didn't really appreciate.
I know. And that's the part that I push back with Cole. I go, listen, I understand people think that you've got more information. I based my opinions based on things that were publicly available, the open practice and game. That's it, right? Like anybody could have gone to the open practice. I didn't even get credentialed for that. I paid my $15 like everybody else did, right? So I went to a thing that was publicly available. I watched and I said, oh, Mekhi might be the best pure runner of the group. That was the decision I made based on something that was publicly available. And then I know what Emmett Johnson looks like, who is a good back, right? So and then I look and I go, I like Mosey a little bit too. I think there's a lot there. I've watched some of his high school tape, again, publicly available. We're extrapolating some with those 2 guys, but we're also extrapolating some with EJ.
So yes and no. Yes to that, different for me. And this certainly isn't to pick on my buddy Mike J, but we were saying 2 different things. Mm-hmm. Number one, I ate it just because to go tit for tat over pre-existing knowledge wasn't my point, mm-hmm. right? And I don't think that's why I said what I said about the running styles being best. They're not that different, right? One's productivity is different, but in terms of what they're capable of, it's not that much different. Mm-hmm. Now, the part about the trust level of what's said about Nebraska backs, and that's fine, like, because he's not wrong there, right? It's compared to history, mm-hmm. In terms of the running back prowess, and it's compared to what's actually been said. Well, we heard about this guy, we heard about this guy, we heard about this guy, and we just don't play him. Now, what Shafe may not know is I'm the guy that on Friday said, listen, if you want more depth, you have to do what? It's your job to play them.
Yeah, you got to get reps. You got to give them the reps.
You have to play them.
Yeah.
So I'm already well aware of that.
Yeah, right.
But that's the only way, because people we make these like sweeping deals because if this happens, then it must be this. If this player's playing, then he must be better than this guy. Or if this guy's doing so, and I get it, it's kind of what we have to go by. But at one point, when you've got a Gore and a McGahee and
let's not
a Portis on a team,
yeah,
that they played in the order of their ability because they didn't.
Right. Gore was injured early, off and a lot. Let's not pretend like we knew that Frank Gore was what he was until after he left Miami.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's not pretend like we knew what Willis McGahee was until that last year. Yeah. Willis McGahee had one good year at Miami. We had no idea what he was.
So
right.
Point.
Yeah.
Point taken. Let's bring it to Nebraska. Right. Like Brandon Jackson had to fight. What should Brandon Jackson have been playing earlier?
Probably.
Yeah, you could make the case.
Yeah.
Right. What about Halu and splitting time, or Rex and Amir, or when Aaron Green goes someplace else? So I'm not there are just too many case studies for me to say, well, because we see this, I'm going to assume this. It's not always like that. We didn't always go into the games in my time based on who was the better back. It was what was going on that week. Like there are lots of things, it's always, Clint and I were always battling who was going to go in. And like I'm not going to say he's a better runner. There were things that he could do that I wish I could do. I don't know if he thinks
the same,
the other way around. Right. But I knew I had to play to my strengths.
Sure.
So that's what I tried to accentuate. Or, if you look at the natural running ability of like a Brian Knuckles, right, where he's a gifted runner. But there were things that would happen during the course of the week that he just either didn't want to or couldn't handle with the workload. Like we didn't see the full Amon Green blossom until some of us were gone.
Sure.
Right? Like,
yeah.
For whatever the reason, he's still gifted, he's still talented, but there's lots of things that happen.
But 97 Amon's different than 95 Amon.
100%.
Right? Like that's just what it is.
Still gifted, still elite.
Yeah.
But
same guy.
Very different.
But opportunity.
So I'm just not going to hop on the whole. There are just parts of that I couldn't really rock with. So when I say that about the running back room, it's not even necessarily that I've seen more where I base it on. I'm thinking with running backs, you need opportunity.
Sure.
And you can't land the plane until you have a like comparison. So I'm not gonna just say, well, he's certainly this because he's playing and this guy isn't. Sometimes you just have to play that guy and see what happens. And until that, it's why I said about coming in with subs versus
so that
not
was just going to bring that up, right?
Or running similar plays or similar opportunities. Because I'm going to tell you how running backs think.
Oh, I could have done that if you called that play for me.
Yep.
I could have done that if those guys were in with me.
Yep.
Right?
Give me
those opportunities.
Give me X amount of carries.
Yeah, let me get in a rhythm.
I'm just like, that's just how running backs think.
And part of it's true. Right? It's not just how they think. Yeah, it's also partially true, right?
So
like some guys need to get in the rhythm.
So I get that the whole
Amazing Day says Carl Buckhalter comes to mind.
That's a good one. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch.
There's a ton of them.
Which is one of the, and I let it go because I'm like, I'm not gonna.
Do we want to have that battle?
I'm not gonna die on that hill. I just felt like it was, I don't know. It seemed short-sighted. But the catalyst for why he thought the way he did, I thought was accurate. Because we've heard about this guy before. 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 And they don't play. Right? So
at some point, you have to wonder.
You either have to play him or stop talking about it.
Yeah. Those are your options.
So like that part, when I said that we were talking about two different things.
That part's accurate.
Yep.
Either stop talking about them or start playing them.
Is that the Spider-Man meme?
Yeah. Boom. Pointing.
Like, yeah. So we were there. The rest on the assumption
got a little off track a little bit.
That's not what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I like both guys.
I would sit here and tell you the same thing.
From a personal standpoint.
I would sit here and tell you the same thing about multiple positions at Nebraska right now. That's how I feel about the D-line. I was higher on the D-line because I was extrapolating from a smaller sample set than people were comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And I still think they're going to get there. I mean, I feel vindicated with Keona Davis. I thought he played well. I think Williams-Winnari, there's a lot there. You got to clean some things up, but physically you can see it, right? And then probably need a little bit more consistency out of like Riley Van Poppel and Elijah Judy, right? Like there's probably need a little. I don't know that we're ever going to get the explosiveness that I wanted out of Cam Lenhart. I just don't know if that's in his game. Can he be a very solid player still? Probably. Am I going to get the splash plays that I thought I was going to get as a freshman? I don't know, right? We're starting to get enough of a sample size with Cam that I'm going to stop extrapolating, right? And start just being like, hey, this is kind of what he is. Very solid. Probably not going to be a game wrecker, right? Mm-hmm. Same thing with like linebackers and jacks, right? I sit there and I go, okay, I really like McGahee's physical abilities. I really like Shavers' physical abilities. What does that look like? I'm going to start extrapolating from those things, right? Shavers had a big play. McGahee got burned a couple times, right? That doesn't make them any less talented or less capable, but now the sample size looks a little different.
And somebody said to me, oh, now I can see why McGahee slid on the depth chart. And that's not the point of the exercise, because then I had to come back and say, I'm like, well, the practice reps with top groups, like he was thrown into action quicker than I think they thought.
Yeah.
Personal opinion, I can't even confirm or deny. This is total speculation.
Because sometimes you think
you're going to get something from a guy, and then you don't, and then you're like, hey, next up.
Hey, you got to try somebody else, right?
Now, will McGahee be more prepared with who he works with probably defensively this week?
You'd hope so.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
But that's going to partially be on him on how he prepares this week.
Right. Will Shavers get more reps from a health standpoint than he did coming out of fall camp?
You hope so.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Will
Watson Trent
be getting more live work than he got heading into Cincinnati?
Game one? Certainly hope so.
Yeah. Now, what that yields,
we don't know.
I don't know.
But
you can't give yourself the opportunity to get better without the proper preparation.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to invest in to get the outcome you want. You don't get any accidental outcomes typically when it comes to development. You have to be intentional.
Right.
And if you want to develop depth and stop talking about it, you have to let it ride. At some point, you just have to clip the wings and say, I'm willing to live with the results to get the experience. Then you can have a depth conversation. What I hated was I kept hearing it. I was going to say stupid. These shows talk about, we're concerned about – do you know why you're concerned about running back depth? Because they're not playing them. Mm-hmm. So the coaches, if you want more depth, play them.
You have to play
live with the mistakes. Mm-hmm. If not, stop talking about it.
Yeah, then you don't want depth, which is fine.
Right? You clearly don't, because the only way you get experience and the baptism by fire is to go through it, which is why I think Coach Rule kept harping on it.
Yeah, I agree. And we've seen this a million times.
And I just use running backs as an example.
We've seen this a million times. I'll go back. This is a weird example, but I'll go back to 2016, 2017 Creighton, right? Mo Watson goes down with an ACL. And I'm sitting there and I go, hey, you have to play Davion Mintz now so that he's ready by March. And you have to live with the mistakes in the meantime. A very similar thing happened to Xavier that exact same year. Their starting point guard, I think it was Ed Sumner, tore his ACL. They brought in Quentin something, and he was bad for a while. They went through some losing streaks. They end up making a run, I think, to the Elite Eight. Coach McDermott was not willing to live with the mistakes in the meantime. Isaiah Zierden ended up starting at point guard, right? That's the thing that drove me crazy because I thought it limited their upside. I think when you're not willing to live with the mistakes sometimes, you're saying, hey, I'm going to cap my upside here because I think X, Y, and Z is good enough.
Well, my firm belief. We say it all the time, man. Coaches don't always play the best players. They play the guys they trust.
Right. But sometimes.
You just hope they're the same person.
Sometimes you can't figure out if you trust a guy or not
until you actually go through it. Yeah.
Until you play him, right? And part of that's on the player because there's probably a reason that you don't trust him.
I feel good, and I know it got pushed back during the segment. I feel really, really good about the talent discrepancy in that room not being very great.
Yeah.
It's really, really similar. Now, you want to talk to me about productivity, then I'm going to come back at you with opportunity.
Sure.
So we can have the whole chicken and the egg conversation.
And that's why
I brought
up that EJ's productivity is not as prolific as we tend to.
It's just too short-sighted
yes.
to lump the room based on coaches providing opportunity. At no point did I think that Anthony Rizak wasn't ever going to be a good player. He just hadn't had the opportunity yet.
Yeah.
So
and that was a situation where you said, hey, we've got a guy who's pretty good right now that we think we know exactly what we're going to get from, but we think this guy gives us a higher ceiling
if we want to get to where we want to be.
And so we're going to have to live with some of the bumps in the road on the way there.
Sometimes it just –
right? Like if you want the game – I keep using Vincent Shavers because I like him. But if you want kind of the game-wrecking ability Vincent Shavers brings to the table, until he gets enough reps that you can trust him on every single play, you're going to have to live with some bumps.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good one. And
you're going to have to live with some bumps.
And we'll stick with him. He's going to continue to get game reps at game speed, right? He's never been a full-time – he has yet to be a full-time starter.
Yeah.
So the progression in terms of his development will get better. And you're talking about a guy that missed some practice time because of the lower body injuries.
Banged up.
So
Williams-Nwaneri is another really good example. If you want that pass rush ability, while he figures some things out in terms of lining up in the right spot and not over pursuing and keeping integrity on his rush lanes, you're going to have to live with some of those bumps because he gives you something you want and need, right? He has not played very much football. That was his fifth football game ever.
Oddly specific about a 3 technique and pass rush integrity lanes. Oddly specific.
I mean, I think it was very.
I don't know who he's talking about. I just know it was somebody that was playing a 3 technique on that particular play. It's just, I like that.
Yes.
Though.
Yeah. You have to, if you want the upside, and let's not forget, he brought this up as well. Still the youngest team in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Still the youngest team in the Big Ten. If you want those young players to end up maximizing, like we saw from, who's the example? Oh, like we were talking about Buffalo off the air, right? Buffalo Bills.
Oh, Bills, yeah.
You thought they really maximized last year.
I did.
Right? And so
I thought that was about as good
as that particular group of players could probably play.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe you get that again this year. Maybe you don't. I don't know. We'll talk about that tomorrow when we preview the NFL. But if you want those guys to maximize, at some point you have to put Keon Coleman out there and say, hey, you're a rookie. Let's figure it out, bud.
Or you got to roll the dice with Shakur being your guy. Right?
Yeah.
At wideout. Like, you just have to.
Or you have to say, hey, at some point I'm going to trust Josh Allen not to turn the ball over so much. And finally he didn't, right? Like that was his best year in terms of turnovers, both fumbles and interceptions, right? That's a guy that's had turnover problems his whole career. And at some point you have to say, hey, if we're going to be the best version of ourselves, we got to see if he can stop turning the ball over. And he did.
Yeah, it's like, it's just weird how in the media, we're so quick to talk about like running back depth or such and such depth, and we haven't even seen it.
Yeah.
But so just say they haven't had
that's why we say it though.
No, just say you haven't had the opportunity. Right? Because you don't know.
Yeah. There's a difference.
You don't.
I think there's a difference between depth and proven depth.
And I don't know why that aggravates me so much, except for you would never know what kind of backfield Nebraska had unless all the guys played.
Yeah. Like, hey, this guy starts one game against
why do we lament about that 2012, 13, 14 run? Because Aaron Green had to go someplace else. And so did Braylon Hurd. And then we're like, shoot.
Let's not act like we weren't mad when they did, right?
And then we're like, oh, shoot, let's go back. This is as much talent in the room since. And 2 of those guys left, because you didn't know what you had.
And let's not pretend like we weren't upset that Aaron Green left, right? Let's not pretend like I remember people being like, oh, man, we're sticking with – how come Amir Abdullah's getting reps, not Aaron Green?
Oh, I mean –
we remember that conversation?
I'm just like that's – I don't want to relitigate it. I'm just telling you, if you ask me why I get so – and I was cool yesterday, but for the most part, why I get so ramped up about when we talk about depth, you can start making the depth claims when you see them and you think that you see them enough where you can say to yourself, yeah, I think there's a significant drop-off over time.
Sure. Whereas, like, That's part of the reason I liked the depth on the defensive line, even though we've seen almost none of them be full-time starters, right? Yeah. I sit there and I go, okay.
You wouldn't talk about our depth back in the day unless you saw us start games.
Do you think
it wasn't going to be enough for spot time?
Nobody was talking about
Then
depth.
You start to say, oh, they could have started for anybody else in the country because we started games for – you still have to see it before you want to make any proclamations.
This is the difference, and I'm not comparing the teams or the eras, but this is the difference between, let's say, the start of 93 versus the start of 95 for you guys, right? Start of 93, we're probably
– was that North Texas and Texas Tech and UCLA?
I believe so.
Okay, that's 93.
So you're not talking about, before the season starts in 93, the depth in the running back room.
No.
Right? You are in 95.
Yeah.
Right? In 93, you're not talking about the depth at quarterback because we haven't seen Brooke Behringer play yet, right?
Yep.
You are in 95, right? Like, there's a difference.
Who was behind me?
There's a difference in
Clinton
that.
was prop. LP was a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we weren't talking about that.
No. And it's the same guys.
Yeah.
The exact same guys.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to gas me up.
Right? So it's about opportunity and our perspective of
it's just low-hanging, lazy fruit.
It's the same thing that I was
me
talking about with the D line in the offseason, right? 2 years ago, we didn't think anything of Ty and Nash. Literally nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, we thought little to nothing of those guys. You know, a year ago, we didn't think much of Jamari Butler or MJ Sherman either, because the first year they came in as transfers, they didn't do what we wanted them to do. Right? Now we're going, oh, man, how are we going to replace MJ Sherman? And Jamari Butler's playing at LSU, and MJ Sherman ran out of eligibility, and Ty Nash in the NFL, or Ty Robinson in the NFL. And so you're sitting here and you go, oh, man. But at the exact same time, at this point in their careers, we did not care about those guys. That's the perspective that's important here, because there's just, we don't know until we see it. But so you can't, I feel like it's hard to get mad when we're like, hey, I think I see it, right? I think I see it coming. But they're like, oh, no, these aren't those guys. So, well, you didn't think those other guys were those guys either.
Until
they were.
Until they get out.
Right? Nobody's that guy until they are. Opportunity is the difference here.